As- Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Time is going by faster and faster. And we all have work to get done in this world. Now, the work that we have to get done is dependent on our priorities. Some people think they have to get work done within the world. Others believe they have to get work done as to themselves and as to their own progression. Whatever it is, we need to work on it. If our focus is on the world, then whatever it is that we accomplish will seem important for the moment, but in time it will fade and its importance will fade, and soon it will be forgotten altogether. But if we do the work that has to be done on ourselves, if we work on that which brings about an alteration in ourselves, this is the work that has eternal ramifications and stays important throughout eternity. But so many of us are involved with the world, and we're worried about the world. We think that the world is on a path of destruction and on a path of difficulty. And we believe that we should do something about it. And we become what the world sometimes calls activists, people who want to change the world. Well, let's take a look at the history of the world. You can trace the history of the world, if you want, through a series of conflicts between various civilizations. You can trace the history of the world through a series of wars, if you want. You can trace history through a series of upheavals, if you want. But one thing that you will note that seems to be constant within the world is that there are constantly things that seem to go out of whack, that seem to take a path of destruction. And you can ask, why is that? Why is the world constantly on this path of destruction? Recently in the world, we've had minor conflicts that have erupted one after the other, and we take them sort of for granted, as if minor conflicts are inevitable. But we thought major conflicts wouldn't occur. Now we're in a situation where all of a sudden there's a major conflict in Europe, nonetheless. We didn't think this could happen again so quickly and so soon. What's going on? Well, each of us really should realize, each of us really should understand that this world is not a stable place. This world is constantly in a state of disruption. This world is constantly in a state of upheaval. Look at the elemental nature of the world. You have all of these elements that are hostile to each other, that exist within the world, and then you have all of these phenomenons that cause destruction. Fire causes great destruction. Earthquakes cause great destruction. Tsunamis, the water, causes great destruction. Typhoons and hurricanes cause great destruction. And all of these things exist within man. All of the hostile elements that we see erupt in the world and cause destruction are also within man. And these same hostilities that erupt elementally in the world erupt by man when the destructive elements within himself get out of control and they look to cause destruction for their own reason. These difficulties happen, and these difficulties cause difficulties. An electrician who plays or works with electricity, unless he is very careful, he's going to get burned. Whether he's a good man or a bad man, electricity can burn you, and unless you're very careful, it will burn you. Likewise, man tries to control the elements, to control the world. He who tries to conquer the world will be conquered by the world. He who tries to destroy parts of the world will be destroyed by it. He who rules by the sword will be killed by the sword. And he who spreads doubt will be destroyed by doubt. It's like this. There's a constant tumult going on in the world. Look at the different animals. Each animal is interested in its own self-preservation. Likewise, man is interested in his own self-preservation. Yet man is the cruelest of animals. Other animals will kill another animal for food, but they won't kill out of cruelty. They won't kill out of trying to possess the world. Man will kill for reasons that have nothing to do with eating. They have to do with satisfying their lust for conquering the world. They have to do with satisfying their lust to protect what they believe are their rights. They have to do with the lust that tries to protect their own pride. And this goes on constantly in the world. Men become offended, and men react to that offense. And when do they react, and how do they react with that offense? They react by killing and by murder. Now, if we look at the world, we find that this is a constant, repetitive cycle. It doesn't seem to stop. At the end of World War I, that was the war to end all wars. Then at the end of World War II, that was the war to end all wars. Well, now we're facing more conflict. And what is the solution for each of us? What is it that we can do? What is it that wise men do? Once a young man sat in front of my teacher and he said, can you tell me about myself? And the teacher said to him, yes, I can tell you about yourself. But if I do that, I will have to spend the rest of my life protecting myself from you and escaping from you. And that's our situation with the world. We know what's going on. And the ones who are committing these atrocities, you can't tell them what they're doing, because to them, they are right, they are powerful, they are the conquerors, and they will do as they will. So what can we do? We can escape. We can escape. And that's what wise men do. They escape. They escape into a different understanding of reality. They escape into a different understanding of the world. And they set up a relationship with Allah. Instead of looking to conquer the world, they look to find Allah. They look to find the truth in existence. Those who look to find the truth in the world will only find death. Those who look to find the truth in Allah will find eternal life. The question for each of us that we have to ask ourselves, what is it that protects the world? Is it our armies? Is it our navies? Is it our Air Force? Is it our generals? Is it our politicians? Do you believe our politicians protect the world? Or do you believe that Allah protects the world through the ones in this world who have made contact with Him, who are in communion with Him, and for their sake, the world is protected? Bawa would tell the story about the dangers of communism. And he would further then go on to explain that one of the reasons that he came to America was to protect America from communism. Now, can you as an individual believe that a little man, 5'1", maybe 5'2", who weighed 90 to 100 pounds and sat on a bed in Philadelphia could protect America from communism? If you can believe that, then you can also believe that men like him always exist in this world, and that if we are to be saved, if this world is to be saved, it is going to be saved from men like him who are here on behalf of humanity, whose work is on behalf of humanity. And it's done quietly in corners, unseen by the ones who are trying to conquer the world, unseen by the ones who are trying to destroy the world, unseen by the armies of the world, yet they affect the armies of the world. Yet they affect the attempted conquerors of the world. Yet they influence reality as it truly exists within this world. So what is our job? Ketubs have come into this world to give direct instruction from the light to men, to give direct instruction to humanity about how to save themselves. And how do they do this? Well, they do it in a few ways. One of the ways they do it is through their words. They put out words of truth that if you can imbibe them, if you can take them in, will alter who you are. Now, one of two things can happen. When these words come at you, they either come in you and are swallowed by you, or they come at you and they bounce back like an echo and do absolutely no good for you. So instead of being echo chambers, we have to be the ones who absorb the truth and let the truth enter within us. And when we hear words of truth, if we allow them in us, they will alter who we are. They will alter our nature. And what happens is when we come into this world, we still have the natural effulgence that comes from Allah. But we take on the karma of our mother. We take on the karma of our father. We take on the karma of all of our interactions as we grow up. And if we grow up without wisdom being constantly poured on us, being constantly given to us, we become altered from that pure radiant effulgence of the ray that is within us, that is godly, to the demonic nature of the ones who try to conquer the world, the ones who try to consume the world. We become like those. And what's interesting is the ones who fight back in the same way that they are fought with create the same situation. It's very difficult to understand, and it's very difficult to comprehend. But we have to learn how to react in a way that doesn't cause more harm. And if enough people truly react in that way, and Allah reacts with them, then destruction can stop, and that inevitable roller coaster of man's enmity towards other man, of man's hatred towards other man, of man's disdain for other men can stop in this world. Until that happens, the way the world is going now will continue to go. Men talk about reincarnation. Well, how many men who don't finish what they're supposed to do this time believe that they'll be able to finish what they were supposed to do next time? You're not here to think about next time. You're here to think about finishing your work now, finishing your work to become a real man now, to become a true human being now, to become an insan kamil now. If that work isn't done now, when is it going to be done? So each of us has to focus on doing that work now, on accomplishing that work now. Now, we cannot be looking around us and reacting to the way other people react to us and do this work. We have to become sincere in what we're doing, notwithstanding the criticism of the world. In truth, if you begin to be criticized by the world, if you begin to be abandoned by the world, if you begin to be ridiculed by the world, it's a sign of the fact that you have transcended beyond the world. It's a sign that you are moving in an upwards direction towards your creator, as opposed to a downwards direction towards a hole in the ground. We need to understand that we are not looking to gain favor with men. We are looking to gain favor with true human beings. We are looking to gain favor with God. And it is within this context that the world will be saved. And it's only within this context that the world will be saved. We can't make pacts with the devil. We can't make pacts with demons. We can't make pacts with usurpers of power. We can't make pacts with men who are trying to conquer the world and believe that we will be moving towards freedom. Our only pact can be with Allah. Now, religions will tell you you have to make pacts with them. Nations will tell you that you have to make pacts with them. Castes will tell you that you have to make pacts with them. But in truth, the only reality is Allah's reality. The only place where we can find true salvation is through Allah. And the only way that we can help humanity is through communion with Allah. This world was created by Allah so that he could have a creation of his that he could come to know and that he could commune with. And if man loses that ability to commune with Allah, then for what reason does existence continue? For what reason does this world exist? At the time of the flood, it came to be that almost all men had lost touch with Allah, nor did they care. And therefore, Allah took the few that were still in touch with him and put them on a boat and somehow saved them, as opposed to the rest of humanity. Humanity now is in one of those critical times. Humanity now is in one of those times when we look at the world and we wonder, can it be saved? Or are we on the brink of something horrific? In 1991 or 1992, I took a group of 11 people to Mecca and Medina. And my teacher had told us that if 10 or more of his children did tawaf around the Kaaba, praying for world peace, the destruction would be held back. And he didn't say for how long, he just said it would be held back. So when we got to the Kaaba, we pulled out one of his little flags, a green flag, and I think one of us wore it on our back. And we did tawaf around the Kaaba to hold back destruction. Now, we didn't have political power. We didn't have armies. We had the word of an insan kamil. We had the word of a true sheikh. And we followed the directions of those words and implemented what he told us. That same work continues to need to be done. We have to work on behalf of saving this world from destruction. And how do we do that? How do we come to the point where we can be an assist in saving this world from destruction? And we do that through surrender to the Creator, through surrender to our Lord, through surrender to reality. And then we can be a vice regent on earth on behalf of our Creator to spread the resonance of peace throughout this world. To create peace, you have to become peaceful. To create peace, you have to be without malice. To create peace, you have to be without enmity. To create peace, you have to be without hatred. To create peace, you have to be in a state of love. To create peace, you have to transcend the petty squabbles of this world. To create peace, you have to transcend all of the satanic qualities and the satanic natures that run through this world. And who is going to do this work? Who are the ones who are going to transcend evil and enter into that state of purity? Who are going to be the ones who are going to save the world? Can we compromise in worldly ways to save the world? Or do we have to remove ourselves and go directly to God and allow that communion to enter into us and to be able to spread that resonance of peace throughout the world? This world needs peace. This world needs time to recuperate from its ills. It needs time to recuperate from its animosities. It needs time to recuperate from its paranoia. It needs time for healing among men. And who are the peacemakers? Where will they come from? Will they be on megaphones preaching to stadiums? Or will they be quietly sitting in their rooms, contemplating on the truth of the existence of God, the relationship between man and God, and creating the resonance of God within this world? Can we believe that we can be an aid in that? The question is not, can we believe it? The point is, we have to believe it, because it is up to each and every one of us to become beacons of light within this world to aid in the disease of enmity, to aid in the disease of hatred, to become the cure for all of these things. And we can only become that cure if we transcend our resentment, we transcend our hatred, we transcend all of the qualities that keep us from loving other men, transcend all of the qualities that keep us separate from other religions, transcend all of the qualities that keep us separated from people of different colors and different races and different languages. We have to understand that there is a unity among mankind, and that this unity transcends all of the ill will that man has towards each other. There are monsters that lurk in men, and these monsters are greater than any animal in existence. Their cruelty is beyond anything that we can imagine. And these monsters have to somehow be mollified. These monsters somehow have to be curtailed. And this will be done through an overwhelming resonance of love throughout the world. One man can accomplish an enormous amount. Gandhi, through extreme nonviolence, did an enormous amount. Also, some mistakes were made, but for a while, some peace occurred. You know, the nature of the elements is turmoil. They are constantly in a hostile situation towards each other. So even if we quiet things down, they are going to erupt again. We haven't seen the last tornado. We haven't seen the last hurricane. We haven't seen the last tsunami. We haven't seen the last earthquake. But we've been able to escape from them, and that's why we're still here. We haven't seen the last conflict, but the more that we can pacify each conflict, then there is the opportunity to pacify the next conflict. This isn't a work that ends in a moment. This is a work that is continuous and has been continuous throughout history. So now we are the ones who are in this world. We are the ones who have to take on the mantle of peacefulness at this time and in this place. We have to be the ones who help save the world from destruction now. Others helped save the world from destruction in the past, but now it's our turn to save the world from destruction. Manifest man must bring the unmanifest truth into the world, the unmanifest reality into the world, the unmanifest love into the world, the unmanifest qualities of Allah that are supreme and truly are what rule all of creation. And these qualities have to come through us in the same way as they came through the Sheikh. They have to come through us in the same way they came through the prophets. They have to come through us in the same way they came through the Ketubs. The Ketubs say to us, become like me. Do what I do. Have the courage to take on the mantle of what Allah has placed in our hearts. Have the courage to take on the path that Allah has given us. Have the courage to love. Have the courage to be compassionate. Have the courage to be merciful. Have the courage to be just. Lose the constant need to protect the self. Lose the constant connection to the thoughts of the mind. Lose the constant connection to attempting to fulfill desire. And instead of fulfilling desire, let's fulfill truth. Instead of fulfilling the ramblings of the mind, let's fulfill peace. Instead of fulfilling the different things that the world wants us to do, let's fulfill God's will and bring truth and peace into this world. It's the work that we've been given, and we only have a certain amount of time to do it. And we have to do it. We have to take it on. So may Allah make it so that each of us understands the possibilities of who we will become, the possibilities of eternal truth that belongs to us, the eternal treasure that is ours. And may we become true human beings so that we do truth in this world and bring truth to this world, that the resonance of peace flows from us and overwhelms humanity so that humanity acts as humans as opposed to acting as animals. Only with God's help can this be done. Only with God's truth can this be done. Only with God's involvement can this be done. And we ask God to move, involve himself with each and every one of us to bring us to that state of transcendence and to allow that transcendence to spread around the world so that peace can come and remain. May it happen, and may it happen in God's time and in God's will. Ameen, ameen, ya Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.